Today is Tuesday, October 31st. What to know about Israel's ground war and America's ongoing support, as well as the growing calls for a ceasefire. And new information about a few of the hostages held by Hamas, including one that was rescued. Also back in the U.S., the federal government took its first ever action to start regulating AI. Plus, a new recall impacting dozens of eye drops. The latest reveal from Apple about its newest products. And you may want to consider a warmer costume for tonight's trick-or-treating. Colder weather is expected across the country. Those stories and more news to know next. Welcome to The Newsworthy. All the day's news in around 10 minutes. Fast, fair, fun, and on the go. I'm Erica Mandy. Thanks so much for being here. You ready? Let's do this. The Israeli military is advancing even further into Gaza and is promising to keep fighting, despite growing calls for a ceasefire. So far, Israel's ground operations are happening around the population center of Gaza City. Israeli troops have killed dozens of militants so far, including prominent operatives, and struck hundreds of militant targets like weapons depots. All the while, airstrikes continue too. And the U.S. is providing weapons to Israel on an almost daily basis. The Pentagon says it's not putting any limits on how Israel uses those weapons, though the Biden administration says it is reminding the Israelis that they need to focus on avoiding civilian casualties. Still, the United Nations says most Palestinians in Gaza feel trapped in a war they have nothing to do with, that Israeli airstrikes have killed thousands of people, many of them children, injured tens of thousands, and have driven about 1.4 million people from their homes. With that, crowds are packing into shelters that have reached 4 times their capacity and hospitals that are already overwhelmed with patients. The UN General Assembly and humanitarian groups have called for a ceasefire as a way to get aid to those who need it most. But Israel's prime minister has again rejected those calls, saying a ceasefire would just give the terrorist group, Hamas, time to regroup and strengthen. And he says Hamas is really responsible for the high death toll, once again accusing the militant group of using Palestinian civilians as human shields. In one development, Israel did say it would accelerate aid into Gaza and was setting up a humanitarian zone in the southern Gaza Strip, though not everyone trusts it. Meanwhile, foreign governments are also trying to get their citizens out, but the U.S. says Hamas is making a number of demands before letting anyone leave. The American State Department says it's something it's trying to work through now. Early this morning, an American teenager who was taken hostage by Hamas and later released returned to Chicago. But she and her family say they're still thinking about the more than 200 hostages who haven't been heard from, including other women, children, babies, and elderly people. This week, Israel confirmed one 23-year-old woman who actually went to grade school here in the U.S. was killed after Hamas militants kidnapped her from a music festival. Though it seems Hamas is trying to prove that other captives are still alive. The militant group released video of 3 other hostages yesterday, with one of them criticizing Israel's response to the hostage crisis, though it's not clear when the video was taken or under what circumstances. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office called the footage cruel psychological propaganda. Israel says its ground invasion actually creates the possibility of getting more hostages out. Just yesterday, Israel says a soldier who was captured during the Hamas attacks on October 7th was rescued. That's the first rescue since the weeks-long war began. And military officials say she's doing well now. The U.S. military is planning a big update to its nuclear arsenal. The Pentagon announced it will try to develop a nuclear bomb 24 times more powerful than the one dropped on Hiroshima, Japan in 1945. Officials say it's needed to deter and possibly even respond to attacks, especially now in the face of growing threats from potential adversaries around the world. The new nuclear bomb would be able to attack larger area military targets than what the U.S. has now. And the Pentagon says it will also include modern safety, security, and accuracy features. But Congress needs to approve it first. Top Republicans say they support the move, but that the military actually needs to go a step further to keep up with Russia and China. It's not clear at this point what the overall consensus is in Congress just yet. So stay tuned. The federal government is taking its first action on artificial intelligence. President Biden signed an executive order that says developers of AI systems must share the results of their safety tests with the federal government. And it mobilizes several agencies to start getting their hands into AI as well. For example, the Homeland Security Department will establish a new AI safety and security board. And the Energy Department will help address threats to infrastructure, as well as chemical, biological, and other types of risks. The executive order also tries to address what it calls algorithmic discrimination, so the Justice Department can investigate and prosecute civil rights violations related to AI. And it recommends watermarking photos, videos, and audio developed by AI tools as a way to fight deepfakes. Many tech groups praise this new executive order, but some say it is going to stifle innovation. The White House says Biden took action now since an executive order can have an immediate impact. But Congress has also been trying to learn more about AI technology to craft new laws. The bipartisan group working on AI in Congress is set to meet with President Biden today. More news is still coming up, but first, a quick break for our sponsor, AG1. I gave AG1 a try because, as a busy parent and business owner, I'm always on the lookout for things that are both good for me and are convenient. So I was really intrigued by AG1, and I actually reached out to them wanting to partner, and I've been really happy with my experience all around. I drink AG1 before I eat or drink anything else, and it makes me feel ready to take on the day. AG1 replaces a lot of other supplements, including a daily multivitamin, minerals, pre- and probiotics for gut health, adaptogens, and a greens blend, all in one scoop of powder mixed with water. And yes, I like some ice and a splash of lemon juice, and then I'm all set. I even love the little bottle AG1 sends with the powder because it's easy to take on the go if things are especially hectic or busy one morning. My toddler even knows I have it every morning and now refers to it as either mama's drink or green drink, which is pretty adorable. So if you're looking for a simpler, effective investment for your health, try AG1 and get 5 free AG1 travel packs and a free 1-year supply of vitamin D with your first purchase. Go to drinkag1.com/newsworthy. That's drinkag1.com/newsworthy. Check it out. Now back to the news. Today, the U.S. Supreme Court is set to hear 2 cases that could decide how much power public officials have to moderate their own social media pages. One involves 2 elected school board members who blocked parents who left repetitious comments on their posts. The other involves a city manager who blocked accounts and deleted critical comments from his Facebook page. If this sounds familiar, it could be because President Trump was also sued for blocking critics back in 2017. And an appeals court eventually ruled in 2019 that him doing so violated the First Amendment. Specifically, the court decided Trump's Twitter profile counted as a public forum. But it wasn't clear how that ruling could impact other politicians or agencies or even school districts. Now, a Supreme Court decision could help clarify exactly how the First Amendment's free speech protections apply in the age of social media. Now, to be clear, neither case applies to whether the actual social media companies themselves can moderate users, but that is a separate issue the Supreme Court is expected to take up later this term. Decisions on both cases are expected by next summer. Check your medicine cabinet. Dozens of eye drops have been recalled. The eye drops are various types, but sold under 7 brand names, including CVS Health, Target Up & Up, Rite Aid, Walmart's Equate brand, and more. The FDA is warning they could cause eye infections or even lead to vision loss. Though so far, at least, there have not been any reports of this actually happening. Still, the FDA found insanitary conditions and bacteria in the manufacturing facility, even though these products are meant to be sterile. At least some of the major stores involved have said they've removed the products from shelves and are offering refunds. But the FDA is still warning people to be on the lookout for these products, since at least some of them, branded as Leader, Rugby, and Velocity, may still be available to buy in stores or online. The largest auto worker strike in decades is finally over, ending more than 6 weeks on the picket lines. The United Auto Workers Union and General Motors announced they reached a tentative agreement, just days after similar deals with both Ford and Stellantis. The one with GM says union members will get an 11% raise right away and a pay bump of 25% over the course of the deal. It also reinstates cost of living adjustments and enhances many other benefits. All 3 contracts are supposed to last until May of 2028, as long as members approve them. And that is expected to happen in the coming weeks, with all striking workers able to return to their jobs right away. As for what's next, the car makers are now going to have to figure out how to pay for the bigger contracts. At least for now, there's no talk of raising car prices, but maybe delaying some of the push into electric vehicles. As for what's next for the union, it's setting its sights on another big goal, trying to organize workers at more automakers like Tesla, Toyota, and Volkswagen, whose American factories are not unionized right now. Apple launched another line of new products last night, and as expected, the stars of the show were new, much faster chips that power a new lineup of laptops and desktops. The tech giant says the chips allow for better performance and battery life, as well as improved graphics. The new MacBook Pro laptops, powered by the new chips, start at $1,600. And the new iMac desktops start at $1,300. Apple debuted all of the new additions at a rare primetime event last night, And at the end, the company dropped a quick note that the whole event was shot on an iPhone and edited on a Mac. This is going to be an especially cold night for trick-or-treaters across the country. In fact, it's looking like the only parts of the country that won't be dealing with a big Halloween chill are the Southeast and the Southwest. Freezing or even sub-freezing temperatures are expected from the Pacific Northwest to New England and almost everywhere in between, even as far south as Texas. In the Southern Plains and Midwest, forecasters are even talking about record lows for this time of year. And a lot of people aren't exactly planning on dressing for the weather. Remember, Spirit Halloween and other retailers say the most popular Halloween costumes this year have come from the Barbie movie. Plenty of people are also planning homemade costumes, which might be a little warmer at least, though thermals still aren't on the list. The most popular DIY costumes this year are expected to be Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. To hear more about this year's Halloween trends and the history of Halloween, check out our most recent special edition episode from Saturday. That's it for the main news today, so now it's time for Trivia Tuesday, when we ask a different trivia question every week. But first, thanks to our new sponsor, Uncommon Goods. Uncommon Goods is going to make your holiday shopping both meaningful and stress-free. Truly, Uncommon Goods has the most thoughtful, wide-ranging, and out-of-the-ordinary gifts that I've ever seen in one place. So I love to browse for gift ideas, and then I choose my favorites. In fact, years ago, my husband bought me a wedding anniversary gift from Uncommon Goods that made me cry happy tears. It was this cute reel viewer that had our pictures and memories as I looked and clicked through it. They have all sorts of gifts that you can personalize just like that. But they also have fun and practical options too. And a lot of the items are supporting artists and small businesses, or are handmade or made in the US. My most recent purchase was this really nice-looking stoneware popcorn bowl with a secret compartment so you don't have to accidentally eat all those annoying kernels. And I love that Uncommon Goods shares all about the ceramist named Catherine Smith who designed it. Plus, you can get a discount. To get 15% off your next gift, go to uncommongoods.com/newsworthy. That's uncommongoods.com/newsworthy for 15% off. Don't miss out on this limited time offer. Uncommon Goods, we are all out of the ordinary. Okay, now back to Trivia Tuesday. Today's trivia question is, which U.S. state produces the most pumpkins? You can play along with us in our weekly roundup email that comes out each Friday. Simply sign up to get it at thenewsworthy.com/email or find the link in today's episode notes. As for last week's trivia question, how did early New Englanders protect their homes from evil spirits? The answer is by hiding shoes in their walls, especially near doors, windows, and fireplaces that were considered portals to a home. The belief was that a personal item like an old shoe absorbed the essence of the person who wore it. And with that, a witch, spirit, or other supernatural threat would mistake that essence for the person they wanted to go after, attack the shoe instead, and become trapped. So even now, historians say there are probably thousands of pre-20th century homes containing hidden shoes, and they still turn up in renovations from time to time. All right, thank you so much for listening. We'll be back with another news roundup tomorrow. Until then, have a great day and happy Halloween.